Hey everyone, you're here at Litvak Leadership Live, and we're here with my technical expert, William
Yeah.
Walker.
If you need an IT person, I am not the man to come to.
But we made it before Facebook went to shut us down.
Well, that's
Facebook was giving me notifications, Will, that, okay, you got 6 minutes, you got 4 minutes, we're going to shut you down if you don't go live. So here we are.
All right.
And I know that you are the self-proclaimed pizza king of Kansas City. So tell me, that is an audacious claim. What gives you the authority to proclaim that?
Because we have the best pizza in Kansas City.
Well,
I can't take all credit because my dad was initially the one that started it back in 1969. Right. So he never claimed the title, so I did.
That works for me. And, it's been a while since I was in Kansas City, and I wish I would have known about you guys when I was there. It had to be at least 10 years ago since I was in Kansas City, and I was looking for a good meal.
Yeah, well, definitely. When my dad opened up in 69, obviously it was kind of just the basics. You didn't have a lot of the foo-foo stuff that I've put on, since then. But I've kind of tried to, streamline it to where it's more of a restaurant per se versus just a plain pizzeria. So, if you have a family of 6 that comes in, not everybody may want to eat pizza. And so this way here we have different kinds of pastas, salads, sandwiches, stuff like that. So everybody can, enjoy the dinner out.
Yeah, the sandwich. Now, I'm a huge pizza fan. In fact, I am a pizza snob because I am from Chicago. And so I've got an attitude about pizza. I'm sure you've run into people like me.
Between Chicago and New York, it's like Kansas City doesn't supposed to have pizza. It's kind of like pizza.
But I want to hear about, because I've heard George Henderson talk about it. I've heard Michelle Jesse Vincent talk about it. I've heard Eric Bam talk about it. I've heard Kellen Ann talk about it. Tell me.
I've got them all hooked.
Yeah, tell me, where did you come up with the idea for Crab Rangoon pizza?
Well, I can't take full credit for that. There is a place in Iowa. I've never been there.
All right.
But people kept sending me all this information about, oh man, there's this place in Iowa. It's got a crab rangoon pizza. Well, I do have the crab meat. I do have the cream cheese. I had everything. So I kind of Googled, crab rangoon pizza.
Right.
And obviously this place, Fong's, it's Fong, somewhere in Iowa. They're supposed to be the creator of the crab rangoon pizza. I just modified it. And, yeah, I'm a copier. I modified it and made it my own kind of a way. But then I don't know. Somebody just kept asking me about it, and I'm like, well, I've got enough stuff. Let's just try to whip one up, and we did. And I had a friend of mine that did some videos, and so she did this whole video of me making the crab rangoon pizza and all this, and she posted it on her little page. And next thing I know, we're up to like, I don't know, it was like 10,000 views, and then it was like 100,000 views, and then it was a million views, and then it was 5 million views. And so now I think we're up to like 18 million views, 20 million views, something like that.
Of Crab Rangoon pizza.
Of just this Crab Rangoon pizza we were just messing around with, nothing, didn't think it was going to take off and be viral, but it did. And I had people from New York to California that were asking about it, shipping it and doing all this. And so I even had one person that was on vacation from Indiana that was coming through going to Colorado. So they stopped by and picked up one on their way to Colorado. And then on their way back, they picked up another one to take it home with them. And so
I love Crab Rangoon. I love pizza. Is it like Crab Rangoon on top of the pizza, or is it the insides of the Rangoon? What is it?
Well, our crust is kind of a cracker crust. And so it kind of mimics the wonton shell. And so we make our crust every day, and it's not like a pliable crust or like a dough, where it stretches. Ours, we run through a machine, and it's really kind of a dry dough. And so
Okay.
that makes it that cracker style crust. And so that's your wonton. Then we got the crab rangoon filling that we make in house. And then we'll put a little bit of cheese on it, throw it in the oven, get it to where it's done. We'll pull it out of the oven. I'll drizzle some sweet chili sauce on top of it, like you dip it in.
Right.
And some green onions on top to give it some color, and some fried wontons as well on top. And then I serve it with a couple fortune cookies on the side. So, everybody, it's kind of like the whole Chinese theme, I guess.
Oh, very good.
Like that. So, but it's kind of it's got a crunchy, creamy, just like you would be eating a wonton, a cream, like what you get at the store. But it's pizza.
So it's like an appetizer.
Everybody loves it. Now it is really rich. I don't know if I would necessarily sit down and want to eat a full crab rangoon pizza. I always say it's good for like an appetizer or something, to where you have a slice or two and then you go on to something else maybe. But
okay,
if you can stomach a whole one, hey, I'll make it for you.
So obviously you are a leader in the pizza industry and in Kansas City. So how do you define leadership?
Just being on the forefront, and being able to, I guess, any situations that arise, you have to be able to grasp and take charge of, and be one among leaders. I mean, a leader is one that I guess helps and necessarily doesn't, degrade or anything. You just kind of like, you try to help people along and give them your knowledge the best you can. I've never really thought about that. It's just, I guess, something that comes maybe natural to me, to where I learned it from my dad, of being able to do things and guide, employees. I guess I'm not really I wouldn't want to take a bunch of guys into battle with me, but I can, teach them how to make pizzas and, hopefully be better people when they grow up, maybe.
Hey, that works. And I'm just turning my phone down because it's binging for some reason. So I don't want it to do that. So tell me about your dad. Your dad, I read on the website about Joe, and it sounds like he had a vision that has carried on now to your generation.
Yeah, that's one thing. He's 83 now. He still comes in frequently, I guess, if he's not playing golf or fishing or hunting or something. But I don't know. I was the fourth out of the four children. I had three older sisters, and so I never got to experience the times of. I was the youngest, so I never got to be there for when him, trying to raise three girls, and he was installing air conditioners at one time. I mean, he just couldn't ever find, the gig that, was going to pay his bills and stuff like that. So he just kind of jumping from job to job he got out of the Navy. And then, that's when we didn't get right into the pizza business. I remember he mentioned something about he drove school bus for a while. He installed air conditioners. He sold insurance.
Yeah.
Just trying to, pay the bills and feed the children. And my uncle asked him one time, he's like, "Hey, you want to get into the pizza business?" And Dad was pretty much, "Well, I might as well. I'm not making any money doing anything else." And so I guess, to make a long story short, he just borrowed some money from his dad to gut out an old house at the time. Back in 1969, he gutted a house. And he said he swung the hammer into the wall, and he said, "Because there's no turning back now." First day, he said he made $500, and he was like, "Well, that's $500 I never knew I'd ever make." And so from there on, It was just pizza from there on out, from 1969.
That is amazing. So what do you see as the role of faith in leadership?
Yeah, you got to have, some kind of morals and faith to stand on to I don't know, just to understand and to, be a good person, to where, people trust you and believe in you and have faith in you to make sure you're doing the right thing and to just keep pushing forward and understand that you're just a piece of the puzzle and just trying to, I guess, provide for my family and even for other people's family as well, because
Sure.
You're the one that's got the business, and so you're the one that's supposed to need to be the one to help everybody else, because you're only as good as the person that's helping you along in this journey of pizza business.
So how do you handle the pressure of not only your family depending on you, but the families of your employees? I mean, yes, people are personally accountable, but they're working for you. How do you handle that kind of pressure as a leader?
There's some sleepless nights and stuff every once, especially with when COVID and everything kind of hit all at once. You kind of had to, we sat down. It's my sister's in there with me, and I have a couple good managers that's been around forever. I really don't have a lot of turnover. Some of these people have been with me for 20, 30 years, even when I was working with them, like for my dad or whatever. But, it's just when the time came, it was like, well, what do we do when COVID hit? I wanted to make sure I kept my employees that had families or children, single mothers, whatever, working first and foremost.
Right.
Obviously, being in the pizza business, I have a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And, if they were living with mom or dad or whatever, or both, and I had to make sure that I put my employees that had families and kids first. And
right.
So I let the teenagers go, and I kept I found something for them to do, whether ran curbside or delivered pizzas or did something like that. I kept them all on during the whole duration of the time, and we're actually up. We're up 2.5% from this time last year. So we're doing better than what we were even a year ago.
Yeah, it seems like the pizza operators and restaurateurs that I've spoken with, it's either feast or famine. Those that could really embrace carryout or delivery have, in some cases, seen their business take off like a rocket ship, whereas others that were strictly dine-in are just hurting.
Yeah, you see a lot of that, especially in your high-end restaurants. They were definitely hurting. I think they're doing okay now. I think they've kind of like figured things out, and kind of where pizza and barbecue were like the two things that really survived during this, because it was already carry out oriented in a way.
Sure.
Whereas like your high end restaurants, I think they had to kind of adapt to the whole carry out thing, which I've seen a lot of them have. Here in Kansas City, there's really not a lot of restaurants that went under. There was a few.
Okay.
But for the most part, I would say, over 90% of the places that, survived here in Kansas City, which was good. And Kansas City, it's kind of a sleepy foodie market. I mean, it's not a New York or Chicago or Los Angeles, but there is a lot of restaurants and a lot of foodies here in the Kansas City, area and stuff like that. So I think, that helped survive, because everybody was in that mentality of helping the little guy kind of thing,
Oh, yeah.
And don't go to the corporate places unless you absolutely have to. And
absolutely,
small market, small, mom and pop places. And so that really kind of helped out a lot too.
So when you think back to when you weren't the owner, but whether it was when you were working for your father or when you were working somewhere else first, if you did, what is an impression that a leader made on you that has stuck with you, through today?
Yeah, well, I went to join the Marines, and I did the Marine Reserve for 6 years. And so I guess, going through like boot camp and stuff like that, you never know. I didn't think about it at the time. But, you get out, you kind of see what you went through and kind of how to, forge through any kind of problems that you may have or whatever. And so, I always, even when I was in the Marines, I worked for my dad as well. But starting off in high school, everybody washed dishes, and it was the dishes and salads where where you began. And I was no different than anybody else. I would spend a lot of Fridays and Saturdays washing dishes and making salads, kind of in the back end of the restaurant, and had to work my way up to the big pizza maker. Everybody wants to be the pizza maker, you know?
Yeah.
And so I had to work my way up. So I spent, many of you, probably 2 or 3, 4 years in the back, learning my way up. But I think, you know, silently, he was mentoring me and kind of like showing me the ropes and doing things, but not like, here, I want to show you this. He just did it, you know, and I was supposed to watch. And so, you know, I think indirectly he was teaching me how to run a business without teaching me how to run a business, kind of a thing.
Sure.
So now I'm doing that with my son. He's 24, 5 or something. And so he's interested in the pizza business. And so now I'm kind of mentoring him along as well. So hopefully, I told him, I said, well, I'm 46. So I still got like 20 years. So I hope you're not planning on like taking all my money yet or anything. Cause I still need to make a house payment and a car payment. So
what kind of, you know, you got a 24, 25-year-old, I have a 25-year-old and a 23-year-old. What kind of new and different ideas is your son coming at you with? Because you know, they're all so smart.
Oh yeah. You know, I was the same way with my dad.
Survived without, you know, them telling us what to do all these years.
Oh yeah. Cause I was the same. My dad was like, oh hell, you know, that's not going to work. Like, what are you coming at me with all this for? He's like, just keep it simple. Yeah. And, you know, that was kind of the thing when I saw, you know, I mean, restaurants just weren't a single restaurant. I mean, if you went to like Applebee's or I don't know, Chili's or whatever, they had a wide variety of things on their menu. They never didn't just sell this. And so I was just thinking, I was like, well, we got to expand out a little bit. I mean, if we want to keep in the forefront and go with the times, or we've got to kind of, you know, broaden our horizons a little bit and offer other things. And so, you know, he was good about letting me do that. And so now my son, I can see my son, he's more technologically savvy. He would be able to hook this Chrome thing up in a heartbeat. Me, I'm like, I'm asking my wife if I'm doing it right and everything else. So, but he comes with some good ideas. He's very, you know, good on like money and stuff like that, where I wasn't as good as money as he is. Maybe I was trying to teach him not to be me than to be, you know, better than me on certain things, you know, and so he's good on, you know, doing stuff like that on the financial part and coming up with some ideas. You know, we'll see what maybe everybody else is kind of doing in the Kansas City area, or if somebody brings something to my attention. And one time we were traveling back and we stopped in Nashville, and I was like, you know, that Nashville hot chicken, I was like, I could probably put that on a pizza. Well, next thing I come back and now I've got this famous Nashville hot chicken pizza that, you know, is right up there with the crab rangoon pizza. So
looking here, okay, it didn't pop up. There we go. So I can't get to your menu for some reason. There's a problem with the website, but I'm looking at the cannoli.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, if a restaurant claims to be a pizza place or an Italian restaurant and they don't have cannoli, they've just lost in my mind. True or false?
True in a way. I think if you're a coast pizza place, you got to have a cannoli. It was really a hard sell for a while. People in Kansas City had no idea what a cannoli was. So I had to, my friend that has Jasper's Kitchen here in Kansas City, his parents have been doing it for 60, 70 years. And so he's kind of like the same situation where he took over from his father, where I took over from my father. And he does a cannoli of the week during like a cannoli of the day or something like that. So he has like, you know, a Boston cream pie cannoli, and he's got a strawberry shortcake cannoli, and so all this. But I didn't go all that crazy. I just kept with the old traditional chocolate chip cannoli and
chocolate chip,
simple, you know,
chocolate
sauce and powdered sugar on it, you know, just to keep it simple. And it's something to upsell and hopefully get the kids. Hey, Mom, you know, I'm still hungry. Like, okay, well, hell,
Give me a cannoli.
Get Junior a cannoli, so you make an extra couple bucks off of it.
So the pizza place came first, and then came the saloon. So what encouraged you? Because I'm assuming it's at a different location. So what encouraged you to expand and go into the bar business?
Well, it's in this. I have a big location out in Lenexa, Kansas. I'm in a shopping center.
Okay.
And so before the whole COVID thing hit, it was kind of like a whole bar that was wrapped around. So you had like your main dining room, your bar, and then it wrapped around to a separate like overflow dining area, and then a banquet facility in the back. Well, when COVID hit, I wasn't using half of that dining space. And so I was trying to think about, I'm still paying, rent for it. And so I'm thinking, what can I do to make up for some of this rent or whatever, and that on the space that I wasn't using. And so I'm like, well, why don't we try to maybe, get some of these cocktails? Because Kansas and Missouri are so far different on what you can and can't do. Missouri's more relaxed and has all these little nightclubs and bars and everything. And Kansas doesn't have anything like that. It's starting to progressively get better. And I was like, well, let's just, I've got the space, so I didn't have to, put a bunch of money into the space. I already had tables and the restaurant part could feed it. And I just had to buy some of this whiskey and find a friend of mine that could make some, cocktails and stuff like that. So I've worked with him before, and he was a mixologist. He went through all this classes and sommelier and knows how to make all these syrups and everything. And so I'm like, hey, you want to be my bar manager? And he's like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And so he just kind of did that. So I was like, well, I just have to have the space. I just need to, try to pay for the rent on it, and hopefully it works. And so that's why I just kind of took a chance on to, utilize the space and make that. So
you posted something on Facebook either yesterday or today that said when you want to quit, and I'm paraphrasing, think about why you started. So did you see that and you were inspired, or were you preaching at yourself, or what was going on?
Sometimes, because some days are good, some days are bad. I think about all the hard work and problems maybe my dad encountered throughout the years, and he had nothing to fall back on. So it was such a big risk that he did all this to start this. And I just hate to see something like that just disappear because, and I enjoy doing it. And sometimes it does get very mundane, and you're just kind of like going through the motions and stuff like that. But then, I sit back and I look at what my dad did and look what I'm maybe doing for my son, or other children that want to be involved in the restaurant business. I've expanded it out a little bit. Maybe one of my kids want to expand out again and do something different, and so I just kind of keep looking forward, and maybe, just trying to make my name bigger and become more well-known in the Kansas City area. There's restaurants that are more well-known than Old Shawnee Pizza, but, maybe one day Old Shawnee Pizza will be the name of the pizza place in Kansas City that everybody recognizes. So, and
I would think it would be, since you are the pizza king.
Well, self-proclaimed.
Nonetheless, I'm telling you, next time I come to Kansas City,
you got to look important to be important.
Absolutely. So where do you go for inspirational leadership?
Definitely my father. I mean, we were born and raised Catholic, and always called him the Pope growing up, because we never did miss mass, and we were always there for Christmas. And I had to go to CCD, which is, Catholic classes, and on Wednesdays. And so I don't know, he was one just to lead, and I just try to follow in his steps. He may not have been the perfect person, but it got me to where I am today, and I'm, happy for that and doing well, and I can't complain. So
what about
my father?
So how do you motivate people?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess I'm always kind of positive, especially when I'm at work. I try to keep a positive thought process on the day, and if somebody kind of comes in ho humming, and they're like, oh, it'd be okay, it's just you know you got to leave your personal life at home and think about work, and this is kind of a time to it's even for me, it's like social hour. I get to meet people that come and go, and customers, get to know you and stuff like that. And so you kind of develop a relationship, and so you just kind of like try to be positive, and hopefully people will recognize that and kind of follow along in your footsteps, I guess.
So what have you all been doing different during COVID to attract those all important, buying dollars to make sure that things run as smooth as possible?
Definitely have the help that we have. It helps out a lot because they recognize the situation that we're in. Dad always preached to me quality and consistency in doing things, and so if you consistently put out a quality product, people will come to you no matter what. You don't try to change things. You don't try to reinvent the wheel. You give out some good offers. If I had to cut a little bit of labor, so you're able to maybe offer a little bit more. I was able to work with the lease company we own the building in Shawnee, but we lease the Lenexa location. So, you're able to help out and find things that you can, forward on to the customer and discounts and deals and stuff like that to get them to come in the door and hopefully get to repeat them as customers.
So how do you, because your word is law in your restaurant, how do you balance being able to walk in and say, do this, do that, while at the same time listening to feedback from your staff and hearing it to think, okay, that might be a better idea? How do you balance?
Yeah, I mean, I bounce things off. I have my sister that I work with, and like I said, I have two other managers, Paul and Mike, and I definitely include them on any of my decisions. I don't want to be one that says, I'm the boss, this is the way it's going to be, kind of thing. I wouldn't want that on me, if I was to do that. And they've been around forever, so it's kind of like one of those things where I think that they have developed the right to have some insight or say on what kind of specials, what are we going to do with this, what are we going to do with that, what's worked over even like different locations, what worked at your location, what's working at this other location, and stuff like that. So I definitely like just include the managers, and I'll talk with like the staff and be like, okay, what's selling, what's not selling, what has customers said anything recently? Have they, because the customers are going to complain to the serving staff before they complain to managers and stuff like that. So I always include the servers as well and say like, hey, what's the gossip on, anything going on? And so, they'll kind of inform me on, they think, this is not as good as it was, or think that you could do this better or something like that. And so, and I'll even reach out to like Facebook and I'll be like, hey, question, what do you prefer? So A, B, C, or D or whatever.
Right. Absolutely.
So, I get the customers aspects of some things as well. So I try to bounce it off of other people. I mean, because I just don't want to be, my word is law. I want it to be, a little bit of everybody's insight on things.
So what do you think is one of the most undervalued leadership traits that should actually be valued greater?
Leadership traits that should be valued greater. Man, I don't know. That's a tough one.
There's always one tough question.
There's always one, just because, I've never really sat down and thought about things like this. I've always just done things. It's just stuff that's always come like natural. But I think just the best thing would be an open mind to listen to the people around you, because I think for the most part, the people that are around you want the best for you and for them as well. And so, just trying to be an open ear to any kind of criticism, or, don't try to just shut everybody out and think that your idea is the best ever, because not everybody has the right plan. And I think you need to listen to other people around you.
Absolutely. So shockingly, in our 30-minute show, we have gone 30 minutes already. So quick. So this is part of the show where I just turn it over to you to freeform. Tell everyone how you want to send them off into the balance of the week.
Everybody, this would be a strange, 2020 was a strange year anyway, but I think when you come to the bottom, there's only the way to the top. And so I think, we're seeing a different way that America is running. And I think there is a good future. There always has been for everybody. You got to work hard, put in the effort, and good things will come to you. And if you're ever in Kansas City, make sure you stop by Old Shawnee Pizza and have the crab rangoon pizza.
Ding, ding. Come on. I'm all in on that. William, or Will, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, whatever you want to call me.
So, good. Will, thank you for being my guest today. You're you are as much of a gentleman as my friends told me you were. So,
well, good. I got to go back to my dad on that. That's just the way I was raised.
That's awesome. So everyone else, that's Litvak Leadership Live for today. We'll be back tomorrow with another exciting conversation. Be blessed in all that you do. Bye now.